So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste, and a very warm welcome to all of you to the BlubWorld Web Talks 217th episode. In the last 216 episodes, we have talked to, interacted with more than 3,000 school leaders on this very platform, where they've shared their ideas, opinions, innovations, and what all new are they doing in the education space. तो नमस्कार, आप सभी का स्वागत है ब्लब वर्ल्ड वेब टॉक्स के 217वें एपिसोड में। पिछले 216 एपिसोड्स में हमने करीबन 3,000 से ज्यादा शिक्षाविदों से जानने की कोशिश की कि वो शिक्षा में क्या नया कर रहे हैं और शिक्षा उनके साथ क्या नया कर रही है, because there's a lot of evolution that's happening around us. So to keep everyone, with pace and on track, we are trying to create a repository of ideas, bringing ideas together from educationists from across the world. So today as well, in the next 60 minutes that you are here with us, let's try to talk on one more topic and see that what are those important lessons that could come out of the school leaders and could help teenagers and many more people who will be listening to us or to this episode on YouTube to demystify their own life. So today, before we start this session, just some ground rules. So the BlubWorld Web Talks is like a speaking sprint. ये 100 मीटर की रेस के जैसे है, तो जैसे ही आपका बोलने का समय खत्म होगा, you might get muted. If you get muted, please don't get offended. It's just to keep the activity crisp and engaging for everyone. Secondly, when you have the last 30 seconds with you, you'll see my hand up in the air. So once you see my hand in the screen, that means you have 30 more seconds to conclude, so that you can start your conclusion. Secondly, this is a bilingual platform. तो आप अंग्रेजी या हिंदी में से किसी भी भाषा का इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं जो आपके लिए कन्वीनियंट हो. किसी तीसरी भाषा का इस्तेमाल मत कीजिएगा, बिकॉज वो शायद समझ में ना आ पाए. So thank you so much everyone for joining us today. Let's start this 217th episode and talk about what are the factors that teenagers must consider when they select a career. जब हम अपना करियर सेलेक्ट कर रहे होते हैं एज अ स्टूडेंट, ऐसे कौन से क्रिटिकल एलिमेंट्स हैं जिन्हें हमेशा ध्यान में रखना चाहिए, या कौन से ऐसे एलिमेंट्स हैं जो हमारे स्कूल लीडर्स ने एक्सपीरियंस किया कि बच्चे अक्सर भूल जाते हैं. So what are those things that must be kept in mind when you are selecting your career? So let me invite the first speaker for today to share their thoughts and tell us how does this journey go ahead और कौन-कौन से factors हम आज identify कर पाते हैं. A very warm welcome to Dr. Aarti Kapoor, the principal of Soroban One Step Academy from Mumbai, Maharashtra. Aarti ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Good evening, the Blub World. So this gives immense pleasure to be part of the webinar today. I've been involved in the education field for years. Hence, being an educationist is one of my enthusiasm. So I think good career planning that leads to life fulfillment. So it's all about leading a fulfilling life, which can be made possible by choosing a career path that best utilize your talents. The one that you are the most qualified for with, I'll say, great remuneration prospects and as an excellent work-for-life balance. So choosing a career after school is one of the most important decision teen to make. That is why it's important for them to know how to see career resources to help them prepare for the future, major aspects they can cover. Like teen, they must recognize their potential, their personal aspect, their social aspects. Also, make sure teen may not pursue a career solely for the financial gain. I mean, the default thought often we used to have. So studies reveal that youth from collectivist culture mainly influenced by the family expectations, called social cognitive career theory by the researchers. So whereby higher career congruence with parents, increased career confidence and self-efficacy. If I talk about metros, so right from childhood, they know what they want to be. Even parents don't influence too much. But normally it is not the case every city is having or society is having. So to guide, to understand their potential, their influence, their diversity, particular of the backup youths. So career prospects and their ability to use the resource available in their new environment to attain meaningful future goals, it is really necessary they should know some of the points. For example, talents and skills. For example, their values. For example, their personality, their interest. The topic that you are interested in the activities you might have done in the school or maybe rest of the time. So their education and training, their ideal lifestyle, their financial goals. This all are non-negotiables. So one has to know Because see, when you are going for a career, you are spending almost half of your daily time there. So you need to understand your scenario, your environment, so that it can satisfy um, your career as well as you as a person. I just remember one elephant chain story, if you might have heard in the uh, childhood. A boy and a father who went to temple, and there was an elephant tied with a chain. So obvious question child has asked you why he had so much of power, why they are not they got free themselves. So he said like in the childhood it was tied. Now they know their strength, but still they don't do that because they don't have that confidence. So whatever confidence in the field you have, you should do it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I think you talked about some very important aspects कि आप जिस तरीके से परिवेश से आएंगे, जिस तरीके का बैकग्राउंड होगा, जहाँ से आपको पेरेंट्स के जिस तरीके का एक्सपोजर होगा, the kind of activities that you participate in, your psychology will basically define your career selection. So how do you train your psychology is a very important element or a very important factor when you're choosing a career. So as a teenager, you should always look at yourself more objectively. अपना इंट्रोस्पेक्शन कीजिए, बट एज अ थर्ड पर्सन कि आपका किस तरीके का बैकग्राउंड रहा है, पेरेंट्स कहाँ से आ रहे हैं, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अ लाइफ कैन यू क्रिएट एंड हाउ व्हाट आर योर चांसेस ऑफ सक्सेस एट एनी फील्ड. So this should be a very important factor when we talk of career selection. Thank you so much, Aarti ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mrs. Jyoti Rana, the principal of Army Public School from Noida, Gautam, Budh, Nagar, Uttar Pradesh. Jyoti ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much. And I totally agree. At this age, trying to, find a career that you're going to follow for the rest of your life is a daunting task. So first of all, I think the teens need to understand they should not be fearful of it. It is a confusing task. So for that, they need to understand that this is probably one of the most important life decisions that they're taking. So they need to be very careful, and they need to do a lot of self-reflection, as in what is it that they would like to do. They should try and understand themselves, and the best is they should try and get a lot of guidance from people around, so that they can be better prepared to plan for it. We should delve deliberately and with a plan into knowing where you want to be, because if you're just going to take a call on something that you saw somebody else doing, or somebody in the family is doing, or your friend or your elders are doing, you may actually fall into a deep pit, and later on it's going to be elephant tied to a chain, like Dr. Kapoor mentioned. So the first thing that the teens, I feel, must consider is what are they passionate about. They need to really decide, because skill is something which can follow later. If you decide what are you passionate about, if I'm passionate about art, then I can find a career in art, I can find a career in design. There are so many options out there. So they need to first look into the passion. Once the passion has been decided and they've realized what they're passionate about, people are passionate about figures and numbers and engineering, you can then move on to skills. That is the second thing they have to consider. I may love drawing and art, or I may love building things, but is that a skill that I'm ready to employ? So skill is something which can be learned over time, but if you are passionate about something and you want to learn something, that really the passion triumphs. So passion comes at number one, skills come at number two. Career is a choice that is going to help you put food in your belly and put a roof over your head. So you have to consider what kind of remuneration and pay packages is it going to be. Is it a career that's going to help you advance? Is it going to help you, be able to cope with the inflation that's going to be coming year after year, time after time? So that is another consideration that one must look into while they decide. These three things are really important. And to sum it up, what I would say is it's a good idea for the teens to look into the latest trends, and also to go in for a career assessment that will help them really plan for everything. So that was my take on what teens should be looking into. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. I think some very important elements that you mentioned. The top one being passion. You will have to identify a passion where you want to do things. Second would be the skill set. कि क्या वो स्किल सेट आपके पास में है, डू यू करंटली पोजेस इट और आर यू इन अ पोजीशन टू एक्वायर इट. दोनों चीजें आपको चेक करनी है, फर्स्ट द पैशन एंड देन द स्किल. एंड थर्ड दैट यू टॉक्ड अबाउट is it financially feasible? That will it be able to put money in your pocket, food in your belly, and roof on your head? Agar utna ho payega, then that career option is a good choice for you. Looking at trends is, I think, quite. I am adding my perspective to it. You said that it's a good way to know that what's going on around you. But when you look at trends, it should only and only be for course correction. It should never be for course selection. And with teenagers, what happens is they look at trends for course selection. कि हम career कहाँ बनाए, वो केवल trend से decide कर लेते हैं. That is why this is my personal view, but I think it's something that must be considered. But very important elements when we talk of passion, skill, and finally the financial feasibility around the career being selected. Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mrs. Kiranjit Kataria, the principal of Doon Oxford School from Thakarwal, Ludhiana, Punjab. Kiranjit ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. Daksh sir. I would like to thank my co-colleagues who are the speakers over here to listen. What I feel that who is supposed to choose the career? It is the student. And I always say that your career choice is solely yours. Why is it so? Why not the parents' pressure? Why not the peer pressure? Why not the society pressure? Reason being, one must have their own satisfaction what they want to do. As we are living in Punjab, and in Punjab, it's totally, I consider, society and parent pressure is there. And the parents think that whatever they feel like, they will. And nowadays, one career choice they have, Canada. Where to go? Canada. Nothing else. But I feel that there are so many other options are there in India, which they can explore for, depending upon, as my co-colleagues already have discussed, that is talent and skill, their self-assessment, where they're living, their financial conditions. But I'll say they must have attitude toward that work also. What is their attitude? Need to check attitude as well as aptitude. It makes a lot of difference, which ultimately gives them some lifestyle which helps in building up their interest, choice of the career. Now, interest, what we consider whether they have a scientific skill, whether they have the scientific aptitude or programming skills, then artistic skills are there, problem solving skills are there. Generally, parents feel that if they have taken medical, one can be a doctor only. Why only a doctor? So many other diversifications are there in the medical line. And it's endless. Then if we consider it, these are not only the 4 choices that is generally we take medical, non-medical, commerce, and art. Instead of that, we have so many other. A businessman, army is there, photography is there, then event manager is there. When we think about the sports, what comes in our mind? Cricketer, football, or any other thing? No, not only these. One can be a guide for the Olympic game planner also. One can be the coach also. So need to set all these things. For that, what I feel that first of all, one must plan, and then prioritize. What is my priority to do anything? Then organize a thing. If we have 100 list of the career, then out of these, I should select 10 topmost, which I can do. Then further, I can do the research on these parts. What will be the job availability? How much finances I need to go in that job? Then how much hard work I can put in for that, as well as not only the academic part, co-curricular activities, they also help us in build up our career. How? Like dramatics are there, artists is there, musicians are there, environmental educations are there. So one should know that success is the result of continuous and persistent effort. I'll say that happiness is not the destination. It is actually the way of life we live in. So I'll just conclude in this manner. अगर सुकून चाहते हो अपनी जिंदगी से, अपने ड्रीम पूरे करो. लोगों का तो काम ही कहना, अपने ड्रीम पे ध्यान दो. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I think you very well articulated the kind of atmosphere that teenagers or typically children live when it comes to a little conventional society. आप जहाँ पे थोड़े से पुराने तरीके के सेटअप के अंदर जाएंगे, वहाँ पे पेरेंट जो है वो डिसीजन मेकर है. Because you have to really ask this question, I think, and it should be asked in every single school, that for career selection, who decides? क्योंकि ये डिसीजन जिसके पास होगा उसी के पास ये ताकत होगी कि साहब वेयर द लाइफ गोज. वो आपने जो बहुत अच्छी बात कही कि अपना पैशन, अपना ड्रीम जो आप फॉलो करना चाहते हैं उस तरफ आप जाइए. Look at the kind of aptitude that you have. don't always go into the trends. Understand yourself better. So I think career selection is not about actually exploring the world. It's a lot more about exploring yourself. That where do you fit in the whole ecosystem or the whole galaxy around you? Where do you find your space? But at the same time, I think when we talk of careers, specifically of careers, I think at a school level, the number of interactions for careers has to increase manifold. हम केवल पढ़ाई नहीं करा सकते, हमें उनका करियर टॉक या करियर से रिलेटेड बातें जो हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं 7th 8th के आसपास शुरू हो जानी चाहिए. Not because you want to force them into anything, but because they are able to explore. Because exploration को हम उतना समय दे नहीं पाते with the kind of syllabuses and the kind of work that goes on in a school. And I think for a better career selection, the major critical element is exploration. So let's find out from more school leaders that what do they think. Let me invite the next speaker for today. Thank you, Kiranjit ma'am. And let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mrs. Mamta Pandey, the principal of DAV Centenary Public School from Karnal, Haryana. Mamta ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Namaste, Gaurji. And namaste to all my fellow people here on this platform. So first of all, my thanks to you for providing us this platform to interact on such a mind-boggling question. That is selecting career. It is such a tough thing, no? It seems as if meeting one's Waterloo. It's so tough for not only for a child. I believe the parents also, they find themselves baffled when it comes to how to choose a career for a child, because for parents it is a different perspective. I mean, they look at their experience, they have seen past, and then they foresee the things, how it is going to be. The child says that it is my passion, I want to do this. But I, as a parent, I know that I have more opportunities, I have more background, and I can provide this and that to my child. So somehow it is, I mean, we make a mess of everything sometimes when a child chooses career. Mr. Daksh, the way you spoke, no, that we should start speaking a lot about career. I do agree with it. I mean, in NEP also, we have spoken about skill subjects, CBSE also emphasizing over skill subjects. So what is career? Actually, it is a set of skills which you have and that you need to polish in a way that you make it the way of your living, your livelihood, and ultimately you reach to the peak of it, to the top of it, and you become a trained professional. So how does it happen? Like how to identify? I mean, we are talking of skill subjects at a very early age. You said 8th class, but I say, I mean, even in 5th, 6th, 7th standard also, somehow we should start identifying the potential. The topic is a factor affecting the choices of teenagers, but unfortunately, reaching teenagers, till then the child doesn't know what a career is. So this is that is very important. I mean, we need to understand what is there, what is inborn, what is latent. Child does not know what he or she has. So this is the most important thing, that we should start at school level also. From very beginning, we should start talking about different careers, different career opportunities, and the way we talked of, no, we need to empower ourselves for skills development. I mean, so far, we don't have that type of the infrastructure, and we don't believe somehow we are with a traditional mindset of teaching the content to the students. And so far, that practical approach, which we usually misunderstand with the type of the activities we do with the students, fun and learn kind of the thing. But it is not only that, we need to connect it with the real needs of society. Why are the children, they are migrating to Canada, to other countries? Because they have the employability over there at a very early age. So how can that employability how can we do that kind of the empowerment? How can we support the children for that? That is important, one thing. Second thing, identifying the skill set. I mean, it is very difficult. I mean, it's a tip of the iceberg only, wherever we are talking of the career development and all. So first of all, we need to identify what the child is made for, how it is. I mean, I am a very good designer. I know I want to construct the building and my maths is dabba goal. So it won't be possible. So we have to somehow, make a sort of cohesion into the subjects. And then it is the choice, what the child wants to, and though the development and the proper training of those skills. This is, I believe, very important, identifying. And again, it is, I believe, a process which is important. And if the process will be taken care of, what the child chooses to be and how the parents are helping out, then only the things they're going to help, and the child would be able to come out with a product which would be fruitful, not only for himself or herself, rather for the society itself. So environment, opportunity, personality, all these things together, they are very much needed. And this is what that we need to work. We also need to work with the child, not only leaving him or her for that. I mean, just leaving it, that decide your career. It cannot be chosen at teen. It should be before that.
Thank you so much, Mamta. The selection for a career course has to happen before your teenage comes in, because शायद teenage तक आप career का मतलब समझते समझते बहुत समय खर्च कर देते हैं. So what you talked about is कि कौन सी ऐसी skill उस individual में है जिसको वो monetize कर पाएगा. To put it very simply, commercialable skill typically translates into a career. कि कौन सी ऐसी skill है that will give you bread and butter and keep you alive for a long period of time and safe. So how to identify those skills is a big question, जो आपने जिस पे बात भी करी, that the process is critical, कि आप उसे कितना वो exploration कराएंगे, उसकी skill की monetizability उसे कितना समझाएंगे. कि for instance, जो आपने एक बात कही, that if you want to design houses, you are an amazing designer, but you can't be an architect if you don't know math. Your math has to be amazing if you want to be an architect, if you want to get into that field. So आपका skill set, आपका passion, and finally, how better can you blend those two? If you can blend those two in the right mix, then things work for you. Otherwise, they don't. And the process is critical. So it's not just a factor, it's a blend of factors. So thank you so much, Mamta ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today. A very warm welcome to Mrs. Sree Rekha Prasad, the principal of Siddhartha Central School from Pallimon, Kollam, Kerala. Sree ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute yourself and a very warm welcome.
Very good evening to everyone. Hearty welcome to all the speakers. The 3 crucial minutes are very valuable. I totally agree with all the speakers. So many points which I planned for is already said. So I would like to point at only those which is not said. According to my point of view, we are preparing the citizens of future. We, the citizens of past, are preparing at present the citizens for future. How can we do that? Right. So it's very important that we have to give it to the liberty of the students to identify themselves. We have to help them only to identify and self-exploration, as somebody else said earlier. That self-exploration has to start right from the beginning of education period. How to explore themselves, the qualities, the innate potentialities, the capabilities. The chances the school has to give should be, endless. A teaching learning process, syllabus is heavy, but it is not impossible that we can blend a syllabus with the career. Right from smaller ages, why can't we have some role plays? Why can't we have some simulations through which the child knows different varieties of careers? Why can't we have the annual days in which we have career as a topic? So right from the smaller ages, they'll be exploring different varieties of career. They will be blending into that career and they'll be knowing how to carry that attitude. So they will be knowing different varieties. It is up to the school to explore themselves. So exploring their capabilities, potentialities, aptitude, attitude, all those are the job that to be done by the school as well as the parents. For that, the best idea is to implement Johari window. Johari window is the one where a scientific system where we have to explore self. There may be certain qualities that I possess, only I know, others don't know. So I should know it from others by a group discussion where others should say what my qualities are. So the qualities which I didn't know, when others say, I know about it. Then there are certain hidden qualities which others don't know, but I know. There are certain qualities which others also know, which I also know. So there should be a discussion for everybody where we explore scientifically what the capabilities of every child is. So that will help in the self-exploration. And I also say that's a dangerous question we all ask. Ab bade hoke kya banna chahte? What do you want to become? So when we ask this, right from the smaller ages, children start registering in their mind. When they're very small, they will say, I would like to become a driver, right? Then later, that change, it keeps on changing. So it's better not to register what they have to become. Let us not ask that question. That's quite dangerous. How can we say in future that, career which they have registered in the mind, whether it will exist or not? Corona has taught us there are many jobs which will not exist in future. So if we train our children right now, telling that, you can become so and so after so many years, who knows whether the job will exist or not. So it's better not to train them with that. It's important to train them to explore themselves, explore their qualities,
explore their skills and nurture their skills. Give them stages, give them opportunities to showcase themselves and train themselves and motivate the students. That will be sufficient for them to know themselves. So once they know themselves, we are nobody to say what you have to choose. They become equipped enough to understand what should I choose, and what they'll be choosing will be the right choice. So let us train our children not to become the career seekers. Let us train our children to become career creators. They should become the career creators. Like, chef, we earlier used to say cooks. Cooks were redefined as chef. So that value should change. So I have done in my school where the students, I told them to identify some of the blue collar job and to rename the job to add the dignity, create a workspace, create a uniform, design a uniform, so that they'll be able to, redefine. That creates a new job. Adds value to the job. And same way how the productivity can be raised up. So upskilling themselves, developing their talents, exploring and sharing and growing. The most important thing is share and grow. More you share, more you grow. So whatever they do, we should tell them whatever you're doing, you should do for the society. What can you do for the society? Instead of asking, what would you like to become? Why do you want to do? And what can you do for the society? If we ask this question, our children will be doing great for the society. Thank you.
Thank you, Sree ma'am. And I think some very important aspects that you added to the discussion, that it's not typically about, asking them the wrong question. जो हम बहुत समय से पूछते आ रहे हैं कि बड़े होके क्या बनना चाहते हैं? What do you want to become? Because post-COVID, there is nothing that you want to become, because you don't know what's going to be there, what's not going to be there. So you basically want to be an individual who's equipped, who's resilient, who's ready to handle anything what may come. So when we want to build such robust people, you can't ask them to identify a career. And I think a very good approach that you talked about is that, white labeling the blue collar jobs. Let's make them better, redefine them, repackage them, add dignity to them, because we will have to find more and more ways of dignifying monetization. If we look at the kind of society that we had, most of the countries that we see around, most of them were established as welfare states who are supposed to do the welfare of the people. But now when you look at countries and the ecosystems around us, they've turned into states that must make profit, who must be able to sustain themselves. When sustainability is something that comes into the picture, we must focus on monetization and the dignity of that monetization. That do you have that skill that people, give respect to and also pay you for that? So these are some of the elements that teenagers should be looking at, that when you are selecting your career, look around, talk, share. Because what you talked about was that जो डेवलपमेंट्स बच्चे अपने आसपास देख रहे हैं वो आपस में शेयर करें, जो करियर्स वो सीखते जा रहे हैं एक दूसरे को सिखाते जाएं, क्योंकि उसी से वो कोलेटरल ग्रोथ होगी rather than that कोलेटरल डैमेज जो कि अभी कंटेंट कंजम्पशन से होता है. बच्चे बहुत सारा कंटेंट कंज्यूम करते हैं जो उनके लिए इररिलेवेंट है, एंड फिर वो एक साथ सबका मेंटल लेवल नीचे आ जाता है. सो इट इज बेटर टू गिव देम न्यू काइंड ऑफ फीड, न्यू काइंड ऑफ प्लेटफॉर्म जहां पे वो नई नई तरीके की चीजें कर सकें. I think this discussion is meaningful for everyone who is listening to us and who might listen to this recording in the future on YouTube. But before we go ahead, in the open floor, there's one question that I want to put to everyone, and I want their thoughts on it in the open floor in the next 4 or 5 minutes that we have with us. What would you say is the most critical one element that must be considered by a teenager? You can only tell one element or only one factor out of whatever you told or whatever you heard during this conversation, that this is my contribution, that focus on this, put all your energies into this, and everything else will fall into place. So what do you think are your thoughts for that one single factor that you want everyone to focus on? Aarti ma'am, over to you.
I think in my, if I'll suggest someone, so that will be definitely their interest and their experience in terms of education. So if they are very much comfort, they are having comfort in their choice, definitely they will be doing wonders. Okay.
So you tell about passion or interest. अगर interest अपना वो focus कर पाएंगे, identify कर पाएंगे, they'll be making better choices. Jyoti ma'am, your one factor that you think teenagers must consider.
My one factor is the very number one that I had on my list is passion. I think when you are passionate about something, you will be more dedicated towards it. And if you are really passionate about doing something or whatever career path you choose, you would want to invest in learning the skills and upgrading yourself or upskilling yourself to be able to follow that passion. So right in the beginning, we must begin with what you are passionate about and how you can get work it. For example, we have thousands of examples of people who are passionate about certain hobbies. They followed their hobbies and they've converted those hobbies into big businesses, and at any given age. So those are the kind of things I think which matter the most. So I would say on my list, the number one is passion. If you can identify your passion and you can justify that this is what I would like to do for the rest of my life, I think it'll really help you. Like, teaching was always my passion.
Thank you, ma'am. So your focus or your one point would be passion. That अपना passion identify कर लीजिए. आरती मैम और ज्योति मैम का काफी कुछ near आसपास ही है. That is, identify your interest or your passion. Kiranjit ma'am, आप what's your experience on this? Because the kind of place that you come from, वहाँ का अपना challenge है. तो वहाँ पे आपके लिए सबसे important factor क्या है?
According to me, that keep realistic expectations from yourself. What happens? We become unrealistic. Parents क्या कह रहे हैं, जहाँ society क्या कह रही है. What doctors earn, what engineers earn, what others. Even I met with one doctor. He is a doctor by his own choice, but now he feels कि मेरे से तो MBA वाले ज़्यादा कमा रहे. I am not getting that much amount, that much hard work I have put in. So be realistic for your expectation. That is much more important along with your passion as well as your skills.
Thank you, ma'am. So आपने बड़ा important point कहा कि passion interest identify कीजिए, but उसके साथ में थोड़े से realistic रहिए. बहुत ज़्यादा here से में मत जाइए कि किसी ने कह दिया इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा है, इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा कमा लेंगे. So there will always be an element of imagination when there is gossip. So don't choose a career based on gossip around you. Think a little bit more. Passion ढूंढिए and make it as practical and as realistic as possible, that whatever you are saying or imagining, will you really be able to achieve that? Mamta ma'am, over to you. What's your one factor, that a teenager must focus on while selecting a career?
Mr. Daksh, in my opinion, I believe everyone is born with something and we are made for something. So I believe that set of skills is given by him. It comes with us. Kuch rehta hai, and that set of skills must be identified and planned in a focused way. That would pay for a good career. This is what I feel, because once you have identified that you are made for this, the way Jyoti ma'am said she wanted to be a teacher. So it was something, a set of skill in her that was there, that she was made skilled teacher. So she reached the place. I mean, she hit the nail. So this is what I believe, that a set of skill needs to be identified. It is identification of the skill is very important, and then we go the way. We explore anything and we can polish it up to any extent. This is what I feel.
जैसे दुनिया में सोलमेट्स होते हैं, ऐसे आपका कोई सोल स्किल होगा जो आपके अंदर से आ रहा होगा, जो आपके साथ कैरी होगा, and that will help you identify your career. So either your soul skill or your soulmate or your soul career. So introspect a little more, अपने अंदर थोड़ा सा और देखिए. So passion, then reality, and then we talk about that soul career or your soulmate. आपका skill कौन सा ऐसा है जिसको आप commercialize कर पाएंगे. So over to Sree ma'am, that what's your one factor that you think must be considered by a teen?
Actually, they must be able to invest their skills, passion, everything, so that they will be able to create their own career for solving the problem of the society on a larger scale. If they're able to solve the problem on a larger scale, they'll be actually valuable for the society, and they will be able to have a proper lifelong career, which will be having a continuous growth, and they'll be solving the problem of many. So share and grow should be the top element which should be taken into consideration.
I think you consummated the complete effort into problem solving, that identify which problem can you solve for the society. The more people who are affected with the problem, the more successful you will be in your life. So it's as simple as that. The bigger the problem you solve, the more successful you are. The smaller the problem you solve, the less successful you are in your life. So this is exactly what we also identified as an institution. Since 2014, we as a publication, BlubWorld, we worked on a very simple idea that teenagers don't have enough stories around them, because all the stories that we tell them are old, are boring, so they don't engage with them. So we said, let's find out stories of teenagers from across the world who are doing amazingly well in life and share their stories with many more teens. Because आप बच्चों को बुजुर्गों की कहानियों से इंस्पायर नहीं कर सकते. आपको बच्चों को उन्हीं की कहानियां देनी होगी इंस्पायर करने के लिए. And we asked them a very simple question, जो Sree ma'am ने बहुत importantly mention भी किया, look around and solve a problem. And that's where around 2 years back, we established the world's first and the only parliament of teenagers, which is the World Teen Parliament in partnership with UNESCO and Save the Children. यहाँ पे हम हर साल दुनिया भर से 100 बच्चे ढूंढते हैं who are doing amazingly well in life or who have some ideas on improving the world. And then these teenagers secure votes for them. And then they get elected to a real parliament where we train them, mentor them and fund them to work on ideas of world improvement. ये हमारा एक तरीका था जिससे हम टीनेजर्स को उनके पैशन, उनकी रियलिटी के थोड़ा पास लाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. इस साल when we have the second World Teen Parliament, we have teenagers from more than 9 countries जो अपने अपने देशों में बहुत सारी अच्छी अच्छी चीजें कर रहे हैं. And this year as well, the registrations will be opening soon. And the most amazing part of it is that nobody spends anything for the World Teen Parliament. It's a non-profit initiative of the BlubWorld Foundation. So the only thing a teenager has to spend to be a part of this parliament is his intelligence, his passion, and his commitment towards his or her own success and the welfare of the world. So that's why in these sessions as well, when we talk, we always talk about how can teenagers empower themselves. So some very good factors identified today in this complete conversation, that how can teenagers choose their careers. पैशन को पहले रखिए, रियलिटी को पहले रखिए, अपना सोल्स के लिए अपना सोल में ढूंढिए, या फिर मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली क्या आप दुनिया की कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम है जिसे सॉल्व कर सकते हैं. So I think you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much everyone for being a part of the BlubWorld Web Talk. This was the 217th episode. Thank you so much everyone. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, and if you want to attend the future sessions, open your audio and say a big yes. Thank you so much everyone. Namaste.